Is the Golden Sullivan era nearing an end? And does it depend on safety for West Ham United? That's what we'll be discussing, that and more on tonight's Friday Night Pint. I'm Nicky Hawkins. Thank you very much for joining us. Joining me today, I'm sure Dan's going to join us at some point, but I've got the A team in. Ryan's in the house and Graham's in the house. How are you, boys?
Good,
I
mate,
get no
good.
pain.
How's your week been?
Mine? Rough. To be honest, I'm I'm really ill. Sorry, I'm
I've got to
really ill.
admit, Nick, when before we come on, you was backstage before Ryan come, you done a sneeze, and your green screen went all funny, like you done a big snotter up the screen.
Yeah,
Shit
probably
yourself.
have, mate.
I'm all right, mate. I've had a good week. Thank you for asking. Well, I've had a better end to the week than the start of the week, to be fair. But yeah, roll on the weekend.
Roll on the weekend,
Absolutely.
indeed. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone in the chat, everyone that's waiting. We'll get right into the main story then. There's been a couple of stories really involving our chairman this week, which is shock horror. He hasn't really been in the news in the last couple of years, but he's decided he wants to come out and make himself visible again over a few little things. But the main story is it came out today that apart from the Conference League draw, which we will be talking about a bit later, that it depends on whether West Ham survive this Premier League season, whether David Kretinsky is going to buy the remaining shares, take up the option to buy the remaining shares in the club, which is going to hit David Sullivan like a lead balloon, to be quite honest with you. What do you make of this news? I mean, what have you seen of it? What have you heard of it? And did you expect it to be like that?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of had a quick read up about it today when news come out, and yeah, I mean, it's depending on our survival whether he's going to buy the club. But from a businessman's point of view, surely he'd prefer it if we got relegated. He'd buy us a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, look, we need to stay up anyway, despite the takeover or whatever. But if it means staying up is going to get Sullivan at the club and we sell up and Kretinsky takes over, then yeah, it's more pressure on Moyes and the team, really, isn't it? It's he's going to be even more pressure from the fan base.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I say take the money out of it, the money side of things. We want to be staying up, because it otherwise it make a mockery of the reasons that we left Upton Park to move there. It was to sort of move on to bigger and better things, and it'd just be very embarrassing if we were to go down.
I mean, in balance, you just say that though. It's just veering off subject just a tiny bit. Make a mockery of leaving Upton Park. Is it already been a mockery made of it, or has the last couple of seasons made up for that a little bit?
Well, a bigger mockery, should we say?
Is that it? Sorry, mate.
No. I say we've had a decent couple of seasons, but either side of that, it's not been fantastic, is it? Not what we were promised, or the reasons we were moving now.
Nick, are you drinking a carton of drink?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
I thought you was pouring a snout out of a box.
No.
Oh, but yeah, I do agree with what Graham's saying. Relegation would kill this football club. I don't care what people say that they'd rather be in the Championship. I don't buy that. You got to be in the Premier League these days. You attract bigger and better players. You get to see the best players in the world week in, week out. Whoever comes to your ground, it would kill the football club because you'll have a half-empty stadium there next season. We'd lose a lot of talent that we've got in the squad, and it would be one of them ones, where I think we'd struggle to get back into the Premier League. I think it'd take a bit of time. I think Nicky said it before the other week that it could take a lot longer than it has taken us before. We've been lucky the last two relegations. I know we didn't come up the first season when we lost to Palace, but we rebuilt, and we bounced back. And then when we went down under Avram Grant, we bounced back under Big Sam. And I don't think we'd be that lucky this time, especially. If you had 3,000 missing from Upton Park, you won't really notice it as much. But if you've got 30,000 missing from a 60,000 seater stadium, you are going to notice it, and it'd be the worst thing to happen.
Well, no, I said the other week, didn't I? I sort of went on a little bit of a rant about it. The Premier League's not the be all and end all. Football does exist outside of that. And as you say, when we've been down previously, it hasn't really affected us too much financially. But I just think this time with the money in the game now and the players that we'd lose, and let's be honest, we'd lose them at a knockdown price as well. So it wouldn't even be like we'd be making full whack on them. It would really hit us in the pocket massively.
The only positive about being in the Championship is at least you get Saturday 3 o'clock's back.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Miss Sam Moret there. I think it'd take more than a couple of seasons if we were to go down this time.
Yeah, I think I think what the problem is that I think we had a lucky break last time. I know a lot of people didn't like him, but Allardyce being our manager, top. So you probably couldn't have picked a more suitable manager to get you out. And then attracting players like Kevin Nolan. Unfortunately, we haven't got that sort of pull anymore in terms of getting a player of that ilk, of that quality, to drop down to the Championship. Because I think what's happened in 10 years is the cliff edge has just got too big. The Premier League is the place to be. I mean, you can't even playing in the Premier League now. Sometimes you just can't. You can't convince your top players to stay anyway. They all want to be playing in the Champions League. So from playing in the Premier League to playing in the Championship, it's going to be a massive, a massive turnaround. Then you've got, when we talk about this a little bit later, these new regulations that are coming in that are going to make it tough, for the bigger sides to get out of it, because there's going to be restrictions on spending, no parachute payments, and things like that. It's going to be more of a evenly tilted drip down system throughout the league, which when you're in the Premier League, all well and good, but when you're in the Championship, everyone's getting even money. I don't know whether I trust the people in charge of our club to help us get out of it. If the people that are in charge right now, that's the God's honest truth. I don't think they'd be able to manage the club properly to get out of the Championship. But it doesn't matter to me. I would support my football club whether they was in the Championship, Premier League. Yeah. But look, I don't know.
If it was in League One, I'd still go over there.
Yeah, of course. But
you follow your club through thick and thin.
I mean, it's quite evident in the table at the moment. There's 3 points that separate, say, like 4th and 12th. And things like that. It's a really, really tough league now. And you've got to be ready and prepared. And like last time, we had the likes of Colton Cole, who was a decent Premier League striker that dropped down with us. Kevin Nolan dropped down from Bolton and Newcastle, and come and joined us. Then you had the likes of Abdoulaye Faye, who was with Stoke, and Premier League proven players, and the likes of Mark Noble stayed with us, and people like that. I just don't think you'd get that now. I don't think you'd get. No. I can't think of many players in this squad that if we was to drop down to the Championship, would stay with us and help us get back up. I don't think there are many. Flynn Downs maybe. I think definitely Flynn Downs, but Declan Rice is going anyway. Can you see? Fabianski isn't going to sign on for another year. Areola will be off. He's making noises that he's going to be going already. I just can't think of many players that will stick with us. Maybe players towards the end of their contracts, like Aaron Cresswell, but I don't know. It's going to be a very, very tough time. But in terms of just the end of the Sullivan era, we've all been waiting for the end of the Sullivan era. And we had these 2 fantastic seasons, and we're thinking, right, it's all being prepped up now for us to get to this point of because I think it's up now. The clause is up. I think next month it's up that he can sell without this sort of embargo, this fine that he has to pay to the London Stadium owners. They're talking about, Kretinsky's in talks to run the stadium now, and things like that. Everything's been piling towards, getting out of this, this era where we're stuck. We're stuck in our ways, progressive in the last 2 years, but it's just fucking West Ham, isn't it? The season when it could happen that we drop like a stone. I don't remember the last time we've done this.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think anyone. I mean, well, according to some fans on social media, they see this happening last season, which I don't buy. But with the highs we reached last season, no one could see that we was going to be in a relegation battle this season, and that's what we're in. And it's time now for Moyes and the players to turn this around. Whatever happens, we've got Moyes. It looks like till the end of the season, unless we get a heavy defeat tomorrow to Nottingham Forest or lose tomorrow. I can't see him going, but it's about we need to stay up. That's where it all starts. We have to stay up. This club can't afford to drop down into the Championship because it would kill us. As I said, it would finish us off. You'd still get the loyal fans go over there. Of course you would. And as Graham said, look at that Championship. Most of them teams are used to be in the Premier League. They're big clubs in the Championship. It's a tough league. It could be a blessing that maybe if people did leave the club, we've got a fantastic youth system, a fantastic under-18s and under-23s, and maybe a few more of them will get promoted into the first team and learn their trade in the Championship. But let's talk about that if that happens. We're still in the Premier League at the moment. There's still a fight on our hands. And it all starts tomorrow with Nottingham Forest at home. Massive game.
It is a huge game. Do you think this could influence the decisions being made in the next few weeks?
Regarding what? With what?
The manager, team? Yeah. The way he approaches games? Could it accelerate?
I know I just said it, but I think even if we did lose, I don't think they're going to get rid of Moyes. I think they're just going to stick with Moyes to the end of the season and see what happens. Bit like what they've done with Avram Grant. Just because what they're going to do, they're not going to get a top-class manager or a proven Premier League manager to come in now and take over. So it'll only be someone like maybe Kevin Nolan taking over for the rest of the season and maybe promoting Kevin Keane from the youngsters to come in and help. But I think they're going to stick with David Moyes. Look,
I think that'd be. I'll be honest, mate. If he approaches that game tomorrow like he's been approaching him in the last couple of weeks, I think that will be fucking mental.
Yeah,
you mentioned Avram Grant now. We know what happened under Grant. They left it too late.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So,
we can't be defensive tomorrow.
If we do get a win tomorrow, it'll give us a boost. Because Forest win tomorrow, they go 8 points clear of us. We win tomorrow, there's only 2 points in it. That's what I'm saying. It's a huge game with what we've got coming up as well. Brighton away next Saturday. Man United in midweek in the cup. It's a big week, and as I said, if will they get rid of Moyes tomorrow if we lose? I don't know. I don't know. There'll be a lot of pressure on the board. But as you said, if they're looking to sell the club, why are they going to bring in someone and give them a good wage until the end of the season? Rafa Benitez has already said he's not up for the fight. He don't want to come in. Who are you going to get realistically? Maybe we do need a Sam Allardyce to come in for 8 games, 10 games, whatever's left now.
So the thing that I've seen something online and it was saying, oh yeah, Pochettino's all of a sudden interested. He turned down Chelsea. Why would he turn down Chelsea to come and manage us in a relegation fight?
No, the thing is, with Pochettino, I think with Pochettino's interest, I think it was more if we stay up and in the summer. I don't think it will be for now. And look, if there is a takeover and Kretinsky's going to come in, and if he's got someone else lined up to help take over the football club, then yeah, Pochettino is, it'd be a fantastic appointment. But yeah, let's worry about that. I'm not worrying about that until we're safe, we're up, and the season's over and we're still a Premier League club, we can worry about the stuff. Because I think if we do stay up, and I'll be honest with you, I do think we are going to stay up, even if Moyes is in charge for the rest of the season. It'll be very tight, but I think we will stay up, and Moyes will go at the end of the season anyway, whether we stay up or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they'll make changes.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, can we give a little shout out to Toby Colwell before bed?
Yeah, we give him a shout out, mate. Well done, mate. Right, let's take some comments on this. Would you take a relegation and a trophy? I think we'd bounce back in a couple of seasons. Said Gary 78.
But do you know what? I think I would. Give me the FA Cup and a relegation. Yeah, I'll take that.
Sack Moyes and have Nolan and Noble in charge until the end of the season. Two proper captains in charge of the touchline and deck on the pitch. We will stay up and win the conference. Keep down. We're down with Moyes and no trophy. Pim from the Stowe says relegation could be a good thing. Need a reset. Fans' expectations also too negative. Get behind the boys. They need their full backing. I don't think anyone's not behind the boys, mate. I don't think there's anyone not behind the boys.
Believe me, there are some people out there, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, less said than that, the better. Miss Amaret says, would be disastrous to go down and it'd take far longer than a couple of seasons because we don't nurture our youth, plus no parachute payments. Watched the Sunderland game last week. It was half empty. If we go down, that will be us. Moyes needs to take the brakes off now and stop pussyfooting with a defensive mentality. Listen, I think tomorrow's game is key in what we do with the manager, because if you to believe reports, he's got a full squad to choose from. A full squad to choose from. If he approaches the game the same way he's approached every other game this season, then he needs outing. I'd sack him before the full-time whistle if he does that. Philip Coley says, yeah, because I don't think we'll win many more games like that, right? I don't think we will. I don't think if he's got a full squad to choose from and he goes out playing between the lines and putting 8 people at the back and leaving people like Antonio and Ings isolated, I don't think we'll beat anyone else. Even if we did beat them tomorrow, I think we'd lose more games than we did. Then we lost. Lose more games than we won, and I think we'd go down. I think it'd be mental if he approaches that game the same way. It would be mental. You are free to disagree, of course. It's only my opinion.
I'm just saying. Well, I just said, like, well, you'd sack him even if he was 3-0 up. You'd sack him before the game, during the game.
If he approaches, if he approaches it the same way, even if that happened, because if he starts with 8 at the back, we won't beat anyone else. Because if he doesn't approach the game tomorrow with a fully fit squad, yeah, and I know people are going to think I'm crazy saying this, right?
Yeah, but you say fully fit squad. Cornet's not going to be playing. Zuma's probably not going to play. Paqueta is back in training, but he probably won't be in the squad tomorrow. So it's not as fully fit.
Still, it's Nottingham Forest at home. If he starts with 8,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, like, I mean, there's a lot of people I see getting excited that Cornet's back, and he's not going to play. He's not going to. He might even make the bench just to be around the matchday squad. But what are you expecting for someone that's been out for 5 months?
He's not going to. He's going to be nowhere near fit enough to. To be honest, I'd be surprised if he gets 20 minutes if he's on the bench.
Zuma will be on the bench most probably. Look, they're massive. It's a huge boost to have them back in the squad, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to start some more comments. They're coming in. Championship is a shit fight that wouldn't be anywhere near ready for. I agree with that. Leeds fan, I agree. We're in exactly the same boat. Took us 16 years to come back. Relegation is just catastrophic. Championship isn't an easy league. I mean, Nottingham Forest have just come back up. The last time they was in the Premier League, the Spice Girls were in the charts. That's how long ago it was, since they've been up.
That's what I'm saying. Like Miss Amaret said, it won't, chances are it probably won't be a couple of seasons and back up. It could be a bit of a slog.
You were still whacking your meat to Pamela Anderson, Gray, at that time. That's what was happening at that time.
More like Cilla Black.
Phil Brown, is the risk of going down the reason they are keeping Moyes? I think that would be crazy. Can't see Danny Ings being affected.
Graham, I'm just getting upstairs, blind dates on.
With the service we provide. Josiah Greenmoth says if we go down, it could take us 30 years or more to get up to the Premier League. I'll certainly, if it did, I certainly wouldn't be alive.
30 years? Fucking hell.
Championship is really tough league. Trust me, speaking on experience as a Leicester fan, being down there 3 years ago, took us years to get out of it. It's most competitive. It wasn't in it 3 years ago. Down there years ago. Took us years to get out of it, and it's most competitive where anyone can beat anyone. Lingard is injured, mate. Chris Wood or Andre Ayew will probably score. Reckon Soufal, Cresswell, Downs, Antonio Ings would definitely stay if we were relegated. Don't count your chickens, mate. That's for fucking sure. If we go down, we already have 7 out contract players, plus another 8 would want or will have to leave if we have less than 10 first-team players. Yeah, loads and loads of comments.
If we got relegated, I'd keep Declan Rice for the banter and just run down the contract.
Yeah. Being too defensive and going there to get a win safely, it's not good enough. It has to be consistent. He knows to grow some balls and not worry about conceding and start being more offensive. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. There is another story that goes on, but before we go on to that, we have to take a little bit of time. And Matt Rainey's donated £4.99, and takes the next subject out of the tips of our tongues, really. Rest in peace, Sir Moore. Was that played 9-1-4, drew 3, lost 2. Got to stay. Hopefully, win ECL. Got to get S&B out. Rumours say Tuchel and Poch is on standby if Moyes ready to get sacked. I wouldn't be too sure about that, mate. But yes, rest in peace, Sir Bobby Moore. It is 30 years ago today that we lost a great man to his battle with prostate cancer. I wasn't lucky enough to see him play, but his name is still resignated around the London Stadium to this day as our greatest ever player, our greatest ever captain, England's greatest ever captain, and it's a sad day. 30 years ago is we lost him way too young.
I can't believe it's been 30 years. I still remember it when it happened, like the day it was the news broke and everyone was down at the gates at Upton Park.
Yeah, that's sort of my only real memories of Bobby Moore, because I was young at the time, was when he passed, because I remember going past the gates and seeing all the flowers and I think we played Wolves at home the first game. And I remember the images of the them walking on the pitch with the flowered like shirt. And yeah, it's mad to think that it's been 30 years. It's crazy, and it's been it's mad that on the same week that we lost John Motson yesterday, which was another sad loss to the world of football.
Voice of my childhood.
It was the voice of many people's childhoods. He's 29 FA Cup finals, 10 World Cups, 10 European Championship. It's mad, and Bobby Moore, like as I said, never really got to. Well, obviously, I never got to see him play, but growing up as a kid, the first things you learn about West Ham is players like Bobby Moore, and you can see I've got pictures of him on the wall behind me. But even though I never got to see him play, I know about Bobby Moore. I know what Bobby Moore meant to the football club, and especially to the fans and to the England fans as well. Still the only captain, English captain to lift the World Cup, and probably will be for a long time. So yeah, it's a sad day, and I'm glad that I'm sure the club are going to do something tomorrow for Bobby Moore, and obviously I can imagine they're going to do something for John Motson as well. So yeah, sad week for football.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anything else you want to add, Graham?
No, I've got to say, John Motson, legend. Bobby Moore, absolute legend. And John Motson, voice of my childhood. Bobby Moore, one of my heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get on to the next subject. It has, following on from the last, the last story. There has been sanctions this week. There has been, well, Rishi Sunak has announced something that could shake the core of English football, and that's, sanctions. And we'll go through a little bit what that means to football itself. But the first person that came out and blasted it was our owner, of course, David Sullivan. Blast plans to introduce an independent regulator for English football and claims that the move has been done with a PR win. And let's have a little read of what he's got to say here. Look at this mess this country is in. We pay the highest taxes for the worst service from the worst government I've ever seen in my lifetime. The regulator will have a huge staff that football will have to pay for. It'll be a total waste of money. I bet it grows in size and costs every year. The Premier League is the best run and most successful league in the world. It gives more power to the lower leagues, the PFA and grassroots more than any other league in the world. It's a fantastic export. What does an incompetent government think it will improve things in every area the government is involved in? It has added staff for a worse service. The government is doing this for a PR win. They think it'll be good for PR to be seen back in the ordinary football fan and smaller clubs, but I bet you he won't get them a single extra vote. I believe in free enterprise, not government interference. Break that one down, boys.
Well, yeah, he's bang on, isn't it? He's bang on with what he said about the government. I also see in the interview that he said about the Premier League is one of the only leagues in the world that does put money into the lower leagues and that. So it would kill the English game. Why would the government want to get involved anyway? It's ridiculous. He's bang on with what he's saying about our government. They are a mess. It is probably one of the worst governments he's seen in his lifetime. And he's a lot older than me. It's one of the worst governments I've seen in my lifetime. So, it's just another thing to add to the misery of football fans, isn't it? You don't want to hear things like that. You don't want to hear news like that.
What's the old saying? Never mix sport and politics.
No, but the thing is, Gray, the government should be worrying more about things going on like people cost of living and paying the nurses and that the right sort of money than worrying about the Premier League. Worry about what's going on the streets with kids killing each other and things like that. Don't worry about the Premier League. The Premier League's been around. Football's been around a long time without government's interference. So let them just concentrate on getting the country right first before they even think about getting involved in our sport and the game we love.
I just don't understand why all of a sudden they want to start getting involved.
Because they probably want to earn a big earner out of it.
Yeah, it's because of money. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here because although I do in parts agree with what David Sullivan says, one of the things that the sanctions promises is extra voices for football fans and people to have a bigger voice, which is something that we've been calling for a long, long time. The clubs can't seem to be able to come to this, this on their own. And I do agree with David Sullivan in what he says about, the government couldn't basically, they couldn't. I don't know what the fucking phrase is. I can't even insert a phrase there. But that being said, is football getting out of control? I mean, they're a bubble between themselves, aren't they? In terms of the money's getting more and more. They're putting more and more sanctions on us. They're putting more and more cost, into us and basically preying on us as football fans. And I'll be honest with you, I'm for anything, and I mean anything that will put the football fan back at the heart of the game, because I don't think the football fan is at the heart of the game. I think
do you trust the government would do that?
No, and that's the problem. Yeah. I don't trust the government would do that. I don't think it's about the football fan.
Our government's bad when we're backing David Sullivan on this.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's a bit pot kettle black, but I think he's correct. But I'm very surprised that he was the first one to come out. I mean, many people would say he's protecting his own interests because all of a sudden they want sanctions, which would stop him potentially from selling it for this much, or these people taking it over. I don't know what he knows. So So some people would naively say it could, cost him money and cost him a sell. But I think, I'll be honest with you, I think this is two evils fighting each other. It's trying to, choose between shit and sick.
I mean,
that's what it is.
I mean, the thing is, we've said for years the Premier League is sort of weighted towards the Sky 6 or 7, whatever you want to call them. To be honest, I think the only sort of body that are going to be able to do anything independent would be a body set up by the fans. Like if all the fans of all the clubs sort of formed an independent sort of body, so to speak. I think that's the only way you're going to get any real fan power in the game, because the Premier League and the government certainly don't care about football fans. I mean, look at the way we're herded around like cattle at games, and they don't care. But all they care about is that you pay your money, you sit down, you shut up and do as you're told.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing, isn't it? It's I think this is the dangerous thing. The government had to step in. A war criminal owned the football club, and they had to step in, remove him from the football club. I mean, he hasn't been allowed over it for 8-9 years. So that for me, that goes to show that they aren't governing the game too well, the Premier League, because you've got all of these controversial people owning football clubs now. The Man City people are controversial. Our people are controversial. Some of the Americans are controversial. These are not. Some of these people are not morally right people, and they're allowing these people to take over football clubs. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think some of the fans are to blame for this sort of culture, because we're sort of turning a blind eye. I don't know whether anyone's watched the series The Boys, but the Premier League now has just done what the Homelander has done, and that's literally show them their true selves and allowing these people to come into the Premier League, and the people supporting it. You've got these alleged criminals taking over football clubs, and instead of handing these people out of our society and handing these people out of our what our community is built on, people wearing headscarves and fucking supporting it, and talking about Champions League titles when the money's been the money's come from Russian corruption. I don't know. I mean,
do you think it would be like the German model, where and it's not like the fans, it's 51-49 in it, that the fans own the majority, or have the majority shares in a club, rather than the owners having a monopoly on it? Would that work over here, do you think?
It depends. It depends, because I think it would work over here, but I think it's gone too far now. You're basically going to be ripping out billions and billions of pounds worth of shares out of people's hands, and they're not going to take it. They're not going to take it lying down. Yeah. I
know. It's just it seems to work well.
As you said, religion, politics, and football never mix them.
Yeah, especially when you've been drinking.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, mate, they are mixing. But this is it, isn't it? It is a debate that will rage on for another day, and obviously it's something that we're going to have to keep our eye on. Right, do you want to take some comments for that one, mate?
Let me see if I can get them up, mate.
Oh, yeah, I'll comment. Phil Brand saying, he says, "Can you see the owners agreeing to that, Graham?" No, I can't. I couldn't see him agreeing to that, but would that be a better option than the monopoly we've got now? If it could be done, like I say, don't think it would. It can be, but if it could be done, do you think most fans would go for that?
Right, let's go through some of them. Right, Daniel Jacobs saying it's all about making money for the government. If this happens, the smaller clubs will get less from the Premier League. Yeah, That's sort of what we were saying, wasn't it? You know, that's what David Sullivan said, that the Premier League does. The money does generate down into the leagues and the grassroots as well. So to have that taken away would kill a lot of things.
To be honest, though, Ryan, not enough. Not enough.
Yeah, no, not enough. Not enough.
It drips down to the clubs immediately challenging for the Premier League and the clubs that have been relegated from the Premier League. But I think what this structure would do would evenly distribute funds. It'll cost Premier League club funds, but it evenly distribute it down the leagues that will stop like a Lincoln or a Bury situation. You know,
the thing is, the money. There's enough money in the game,
but I don't trust them
to do that.
There's
more than enough money.
You cannot have, right? This is what pisses me off about football. Yeah, you cannot have players earning 600, 700 grand a week for a player, and have a 150-year-old football club go out of business over 100 grand.
No,
we can't carry on like this.
So I agree, but that's what I'm saying. The money's there. The money that the game makes is billions and billions. There's enough there to make its way down to grassroots football, make a massive difference. But it never does.
It's getting bought. It's getting bought up by billionaires, and it's getting bought up by, morally corrupt people that are not worried about what that club does for the community, and not worried about a Lincoln or a Bury or a Blackburn or a Derby or anyone like that, a Bolton. They're worried about how many billions of pounds can I put into Etihad.gov.uk or whatever .co.uk.
The thing is, mate, unfortunately, these clubs are like playthings for billionaires now. That's all they are. It's like having your own Subbuteo set.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with that, Graham. Eamon Green said, once the government puts its nose in, whatever government it is, things will always turn to shite. JC saying, Sullivan talking sense for once. West Ham is a Saudi club now. Are we? We're a Saudi club?
No, definitely not.
Callum Gray saying, to be fair, they probably think football is driving inflation. The wages are fucking ridiculous. Yes, true. John saying, sadly, the Premier League is crooked. It never used to be like that, and that's why there needs to be some intervention. Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with that. Something does need to be done, but it's got to be done the right way. Peter Chelmsford saying, they say you should never bring up the subjects of football, religion or politics as they cause too many rows. Yeah, and as Nicky said, this is something that is going to probably go on for a long time, especially over the next few days, next few weeks. So we'll keep an eye on it.
I think it'll probably rumble on for years because
rumble on for years.
The clubs are just not going to accept these changes, and it's there's going to be fan pressures and there's going to be people for it, people against it, but there needs to be a middle ground. And I think if the club started to do these things by themselves, and I think maybe this is what the government are trying to do, is trying to force them to morally police themselves, which they're not at the moment. And I think that's what maybe the government are trying to do. Getting more fans involved, giving more fans shares, giving more fans say. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, these clubs are community pillars. They're community pillars. They're not multi-billionaire, billion-pound businesses that should be exploited. And that's what's happening.
Well, they used to be, Nick. They used to be like the centre of the community.
No, but they still are, Gray. You go down the leagues, they still are, mate. They still are. It's only the Premier League that have stopped being that. It's because it's become a billionaire's business.
I should have said that's what I meant. Premier League.
The Premier League
is not how it used to be. Like
Gary Price, I was watching this man in the 60s. What a lovely man and one hell of a player. Would really love for West Ham to win tomorrow for our Bobby Moore. Come on, you Irons. Obviously, going back to what we mentioned before about Bobby Moore. Gary, you're a very lucky man, mate, to see someone like Bobby Moore play. So, and grace the hallowed turf of our beloved Upton Park. Last one, JD Sam, for the love of God, blow your nose, stop sniffing, face blue, wide eyes. Mr. Nicky,
I'm so
stop
sorry.
sniffing.
I'm really
get this man a tissue.
Have a lemon.
I wish I could leave. I can't. It's really unfortunate. I've got a snotty nose. What am I going to do about it? Come on, chill out. chill out a little bit. Right. Thank you very much for your comments. Let's get on to what should we talk about?
Cilla Black.
Yeah. Did you ever fap your meat to Cilla Black, Gray? That's what I want to know.
No, I did not.
Bollocks! Surprise! Surprise!
Oh, I'll tell you what we do. Let's bring back a little old feature. Let's let the people send in a question. Don't make it sort of relevant towards football. Don't ask us what our favourite biscuits is. We've all said that before, but make it relevant towards football. But let's get on to the game for Nottingham Forest tomorrow. It's a huge game, boys. A huge game that we've quite simply got to win.
Yeah, it's a must-win game tomorrow. As I said, we win tomorrow. It takes us within 2 points of Forest. We lose, it's 8 points. It's a big gap. I'm looking forward to it. As much as I'm not so much nervous now, I will be when I get to the stadium because I always am in games. But I just hope that we set up right with the tempos right. The fans. It was flat against Chelsea, so we need to turn up tomorrow. I know we're there, but the voices, it's not. It hasn't been great over London Stadium. And I know performances affect that, but we need to get there tomorrow. And the players have to turn up. It's just one of them games. There's a massive game. There's a lot riding on tomorrow, and I do think we are going to win. I fancy us to win. But yeah, go on. Have your say.
No, I'd say I just want to see us go for it. Not sit back at like we're playing Man City or something like that. I just want to see us high tempo, high press, really going for it.
Yeah,
not sitting back and letting them come onto us.
I'd like to see him mix the team up a bit. Bring in Skamaka. I think Skamaka has to start. I'd like to see Fornals brought into the team. Maybe play with Declan Rice in midfield. Bowen, Benrahma to start. It'd probably start with Soufal and Emerson as wing backs. The back three. Look, I think we've got enough there tomorrow to beat Forest. Forest have only scored 3 away goals all season. They're not great travellers, but then you mix that in with West Ham and they're going to get a result. So I've seen it so many times down the years. But it has to be a win tomorrow. It can't be a draw. I can accept draws going away to Newcastle because it's a tough place. Can accept a draw at home. I know a lot of people are upset that we only drew with Chelsea at home. But it has to be 3 points tomorrow. If it's not 3 points tomorrow, then yeah, it's disastrous.
I think our slow starts are killing us. We have to get off the front foot. We have to do that. We have not scored a goal this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we're the only team that hasn't scored a goal in the first 15 minutes, which is ridiculous. I never knew that stat until I see it yesterday, and it's dreadful because you go back the last 2 seasons, we used to be we kill teams off sometimes in the first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's where you set the tempo of the game, and that's what we haven't been doing. We need to set the tempo of these games. Let them teams know, especially at home, and teams like Nottingham Forest, that you're playing at our patch and you play the way we're playing. We're not letting you dictate the play. That's what we're not doing. We're not letting our own players dictate the play. We're allowing other teams to come onto us and dictate how we're approaching games. I think that is absolutely pathetic. To be quite honest with you, we need to win tomorrow. There is no other alternative than winning tomorrow. It needs to be a win. If there's anything but a win, and I would even say, a convincing win, then he needs to go, the manager. He needs to go. We need fresh ideas because this is not working. We've got the players. There's players there that can. There's players there that I would be confident that if they got a spark in the changing room, a spark from a new manager, I think they could climb up to about 10th and finish about 10th, 9th, 10th in the Premier League. That's how confident I am that we've got players there that could get. We've got class players, really good players that are not playing to their potential, and that is what I would say, that we need to get a convincing win, and not only a convincing win, but a convincing approach to the game. Otherwise, if we don't, dead meat for me.
I think we're at that. I think we're at that point of the season now where any win will do. We need the 3 points. I'm not worried about what's coming about next week. I'll worry about Brighton away next week. My main focus now is tomorrow against Nottingham Forest. And look, if we play well and we win 1-0, you'll accept that because it's 3 points and you can walk out that stadium and think, yeah, do you know what? It's only 1-0, but we've played well today. We've created chances. We've entertained the fans. That's something that we've been lacking. You said it. Last season we would turn up to any game, don't matter who we was playing, whether it was Man City at home, Man City away, Liverpool at home, Liverpool away. You knew that you think to yourself, you know what? I fancy us today. We've got a chance. But this season, it's not felt the same. And you're right. Maybe a fresh voice in that changing room could be the difference, and that could make us, move up the table. But look, I'll take a 1-0 win now. If you offered it to me, I think everyone would take a 1-0 win now because we need the 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, Nicky's saying, want to convince him win, but we just need a win. If it's 1-0 and it goes in off someone's arse, I don't care. It's 3 points on the board.
I mean, when you say convincing win, I've gone for 3-1 tomorrow. And for me, that's a very convincing win. I'll take that. I've just got a feeling about tomorrow. Look, if I know they've got Chris Wood, who scored 7 goals in his last 10 games against West Ham, so he's another one. We always have that one player, don't we? It was Rooney, Callum Wilson, Chris Wood. They always seem to turn up against West Ham. Look, Jesse Lingard is rumoured to be out, but that could be mind games with the manager. It wouldn't surprise me if Jesse Lingard's in the squad tomorrow. Look, if Andre Ayew comes on and scores, they should relegate us straight away. Just relegate us because that geezer I thought he retired about 4 years ago. But look, they've got some good players at Forest. They are a team that I know they're not good away from home, but at the City ground, they got a good point against Man City last week. We found out earlier in the season. We lost there. They've got some good results there, and if anything's going to keep them up this season, it is going to be their performances at the City ground. So I'm hoping that we can have a little run of form at home in the last whatever games we've got left at home, 6 or 7, whatever it is. We just need that win tomorrow. It's important. We just need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, I've got a lucky escape. If we lose tomorrow, I'm leaving straight after the game to go to a party, so I won't see all the negative outside. I'll probably see it on a train.
Yeah, I'll see it. But we're going to the questions. What about the Europa draw, Nicky? Yeah, I forgot all about that. West Ham are going to Inequalities. Larnaca in the Europa League conference draw. Which is the one I was really thought it's a good draw for us because just imagine all them West Ham fans away, throwing shapes and all that. But then you get 400 tickets, and sadly, although we go to every game, it ain't even going to come to us. That's the harsh reality.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a good draw. If you was to pick any team to play out of them in the last 16, it would have probably been them because I think they're the lowest ranked team in it. So it bodes well for us, because we can. Yeah, football wise, we're the better team. We get a result away from home, comfortable victory at home, So, but then again, the way the team are at the moment, the confidence, you could go out there and lose. So it's still a big game. We've got to approach it the same way we have in all the European games this season. We smashed the league. We scored goals for fun. Maybe this is a sort of tournament. This is a game that Scamacca needs to get back a bit of full fitness, match fitness. Is to go out there and start the game. He does well in Europe. It's a distraction as well from the Premier League. I've always said as much as we've got to get them points in the Premier League. Sometimes a cup game, like we've got Man United during the week. So if we go there and get a result, it gives the fans a bit of confidence, something to look forward to. But no, it's a good draw for the team, good draw for the fans that are going out there. As I said, it's just going to be. It's a shame that you can't have 2,000-3,000 going out there, and you only got 300, which is all going to get snapped up by the corporate, and the players. The players get tickets as well for their friends and family. So there'll be a lot of West Ham out there though. Still,
yeah. John said airfares have gone from £66 to £330. That's standard, though, mate. You know, that's on the airlines. It's not on the club or the fans. That's on the airlines. That's what they do. They're greedy bastards, and they work on a supply and demand.
Well, we had it last season, didn't we? When didn't we have Seville booked up in advance, and they cancelled our flights, didn't they? And we had to end up fucking
we ended up having to spend a small fortune on them. But yeah, all good, all gravy. Red 5 says, I'm just going for the piss up. Good on you, mate. Good on you. This is an interesting one. Would you drop Rice for Downs maybe for the first half?
No.
Mark, are you on crack, mate? I'm just asking. Are you on crack?
You can't.
No, of course, it's an opinion. I'm just joking. I'm just joshing.
Yeah, no, he's got an opinion if he thinks that might work, you know. But I wouldn't drop Rice for anyone, you know. Whether Rice is playing at 80%, he's still one of the best players on the pitch for us. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't drop Rice, but I'd like to see maybe Downs playing alongside him, and you know, because that someone like a Flynn Downs coming in with 10, 12, 15 games to go, you know, it could be a spark. You know, Cornet coming back. You know, as I said, he's not going to probably play tomorrow, but just to know that we've got him, you know, well, you say that he fucking probably could be out for the rest of the season after playing 5 minutes of football.
Yeah.
Isn't it terrible?
That is true. Isn't it terrible in this office? No, I definitely would not drop Rice for. Rice is our best player, you know, regardless of what you think about him. Although, you know, you do have to start thinking about life beyond Rice, but right now the position we're in is not the time to start thinking about life beyond Rice, I'm afraid. No, he definitely needs to you know, play Rice. Lewis says, did you hear X say some of the coaches are frustrating and feel they don't listen to? That's a bit worrying and makes a lot of sense based on their lack of ideas or invention we've shown. I didn't hear him say that, but that is an interesting point. Stuart Pearce came out on the radio recently and said that, you know, his approach to games is 90% nullifying the opposition and then 10% working on it. Yeah, it's it would make sense. It would make sense. Is anyone going to respond?
I don't know. I thought you was just going on. I don't know what you were doing.
No. It would make sense.
I thought you were going to lead us into a Poland story or something.
No.
Yeah, listen, everyone's going to be frustrated at the football club. You know, there's a lot of good coaches at the football club, and of course, look, everyone from the tea lady to the fans are frustrated at West Ham at the moment. It's not a good place to be, and when you're not picking up results, everyone's going to be disappointed. But then when you're winning, everyone's happy. So that's the nature of the beast, the nature of the game. Unfortunately, it's like any workplace. You know, it's yeah. But one bit of good news that come out yesterday from the club is that old Kenny Brown's been appointed the academy manager, which is great. You know, he's looking after I spoke to him yesterday, and yes, it's brilliant appointment. You know, he's buzzing, and I'm buzzing as well because we've known Kenny a long time. He's been a good friend of the channel, and we've been lucky enough to meet him a few times. And I'm delighted for him. The academy couldn't be in better hands under Kenny Brown. He's a great coach. He looks after the youngsters. And our academy and our future of West Ham is in good hands. And the way that the under-18s are performing at the moment and the under-16s, the under-23s, it bodes well for the future of the football club. And I just hope that there are a couple of players that break out and get into the first team within the next few years. It's a bit like what Noble was saying the other day. I know we get upset when youngsters leave the club, like we've seen over the last few months and couple of seasons, but they're let go for a reason, because we might think that, but these people see them more than what we do. So if they're not good enough, let them go and have a career somewhere else. They want to break through these because there's a lot of talent in this under-18 squad that they're talking about. So,
I say semi-finals of the FA Youth Cup now. So well done to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic news. As you say, known Kenny for a while now. Always lovely to see him. Always lovely to speak to him. You know, he's great company, great guy, and yeah, I'm glad that people like that are.
And the legend for scoring that goal against Man United.
Exactly, and you know, players like that. You know, West Ham. You know, echoes through his blood, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, his dad played for the club. They support the club. They come from the local area, and yeah, I love it. But we see David Martin at Tottenham last week, didn't we, Roy?
Yeah, David Martin was in the away end. Yeah, great. I love it when you see ex-players in the away end. We've been lucky enough. We was there when Ginger Pele was in the away end against Arsenal, and we was there when Marlon Airwood was in the away end against Fulham. And it's nice because it's good. The fans love a bit of that. I mean, David Martin was great. He had photos with everyone who wanted one, spoke to everyone. You know, everyone was singing, "We've got a chance, Martin's in goal." And he just soaked it all up. Just a shame about the performance and the result last week. But yeah, nice. It's good to see. I like it when you get ex-players in the away end.
Yeah, it's good. Martin Allen used to go in the away end now and again.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Always used to see him in there a few times.
I see Tony Gow in there against when we went to Brentford in the cup. I always have a chat with Gay. He's all right, man. He's a good. Mark Vaughan says he's not on crack, by the way. Sorry about that, Mark. I was only joking, mate. Gary Price says, Ryan, I would have tears in my eyes tomorrow if West Ham win for Bobby. Love you all with your comments. True in every way. Thank you, lads. Class. Thank you very much. Ryan, just before we log off, Ryan, Jake Paul or Tommy Fury?
Fucking Tommy Fury's going to smash him, mate. He ain't got a chance. If Jake Paul wins, right, then Tommy Fury's taking a bung and he's doing it for the money. No way. I'll be surprised if this goes longer than 3 rounds. If Tommy Fury's serious, Jake Paul should be down within the first 2 rounds, without a doubt. And then, I mean, Jake Paul's even calling out Cole Froch now. I mean, wow, it's getting ridiculous.
Cole Froch?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I saw that.
Tommy Fury would, if Tommy Fury takes it seriously, he would hammer Jake Paul.
Do you think some of these
fighters... Jake Paul ain't fighting one of these Uber drivers that he's been fighting or you know, he ain't fighting people like that. This is... Tommy Fury's a boxer. He can fight. He's been brought up, you know, around boxing all his life. And it's a lot of stake for him.
Heavyweight champion of the world, by the way.
Exactly. His dad, he was obviously a former professional boxer. You know, I'm going to watch it, but I'm hoping that it's not going to go longer than 2 or 3 rounds. I mean, if he's taking it seriously, if he loses the fight, then there's something seriously wrong.
Absolutely. I've got no opinion on it. You know, I've got a feeling that people are taking bungs off of him anyway. I think he's just buying his way to the top. But the problem with that is eventually he's going to come to someone who's not going to take a bung. And he's going to, you know, call someone out, and then he's going to say, "Right, I'll give you £1 million to go down," and they're going to go, "Nope," and then he's going to be fucked. Nicky, you're watching #United smashing it at the top of the Easterman with 17 wins in a row. Yeah, I've seen that. My boy follows hashtag a little bit, and I've seen that, and it's fantastic for them. But let's wrap it up there, boys. Thank you very much for joining us on this National West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. Comment down below. Are we going to beat Melton Forest? Is it going to affect the way we approach the game with the Kretinsky scale, or is it going to affect the way we deal with a manager afterwards in the aftermath? Let us know in the comment section down below. The boys have been fantastic tonight. Thank you all so much for getting involved. One thing left for us to say: come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.